Well, guys, I am back, sort of. I will explain more here in a minute. But it's been a long time since I've sat in this chair recording a podcast, and I've had many Instagram messages and emails asking me where the heck I've been. So when I decided to pause for the season, I think the last episode was April or May of this year, I intended to take my normal couple week break, maybe a month or two, and then roll back into it. And honestly, I just wasn't feeling it. And I'm going to explain why here in a minute. But it's now almost December. It probably will be December by the time you listen to this. And I'm feeling the urge to start recording again. And so I wanted to give you a life update today, explain where I've been, why I've been so quiet, what you can expect moving forward. I think you're going to like it. I think you'll find it interesting. I hope. It could be rambly, but we're just rolling with it. So here we go. I'm not even going to do an introduction today because I feel like I just don't want to. So I guess I could say that the reason I was quiet the last 6 months or whatever was just the normal reasons, which were definitely valid. Summer is always really hard to record. It's really hard to keep up with content. I have been working on my second cookbook, which I think I mentioned at the end of the last season, but this summer was really intense trying to do all our summer stuff, plus finish the manuscript and get ready for the photo shoot. So we shot that we did actually a little shoot in July and then a big food shoot in September. And that's just like crazy intense. It was a blast. And if you follow me on Instagram, you might have seen the reel I created. But we did like 85 recipes in 5 days. And I had a food stylist and a prop stylist and an amazing photographer. It was the same one who shot my first cookbook, and my whole house, we just turned it into a studio. It was wild and fun, but like it took a lot of work to get up to that point of being able to shoot that many recipes in that short a time period and not lose our minds and keep organized. So anyway, a lot of my summer was spent preparing for that. Also finishing the manuscript. Also, kids and fair animals. We did our horsemanship clinic that we always do. We did that in June. And then we had a lot of soda fountain stuff. The soda fountain's always insane during the summer. So, lots of valid reasons to not record a podcast in the summer. But I think that the more underlying reason for that is I've just felt a big shift in myself the last year or 10 months or whatever. And I've written about it a little bit. I've started to write again, which has felt really good. I've written about it on my blog and I've mentioned it on Instagram. So if you follow me over there, you may have seen some of those essays and posts. But I hit 40 this year. I turned 40. And my whole life, I've heard talk about midlife crisis and shifting when you're 40. And all of a sudden when you're 40, you don't care anymore. Or you stop caring what people think. And I'm like, yeah. I don't think that's going to happen to me because I already know who I am. I'm really confident. I know what I'm doing. I've always known what I'm doing. I've always known what I wanted. And holy cow, I hit 40 and it really wasn't the age. It's not like I'm upset about getting older. It's not like I was worried about over the hill or any of those silly things. I don't have an issue with aging, but just something shifted in me. And I've talked about it a little online and so many of you commiserated. I think we need to talk about this more because I'm like, why is no one talking about this? I see a few people, but not enough because it hit so hard and it was like overnight. Not literally overnight, but pretty darn close. And it's not a bad thing. I don't think it's a crisis. I think it's an awakening. And I don't know. I think part of it is contributed to hormones starting to shift and some of the hormones and I'm not the sciencey person on this. Maybe we need to have an expert on the show to talk about this in a future episode. But I think it's like estrogen, it starts to drop naturally for women. That's the hormone that makes you really agreeable and really happy-go-lucky, and it starts to shift naturally. And it's not that I got super mean or grumpy. I just all of a sudden was like, I'm not doing things that I don't want to do. I'm not trying to please people I don't feel compelled to please. And I started to be able to finally be less of a people pleaser. I could start to confront people in loving and kind ways, but still say what I needed to say. Whereas my whole life I've really struggled with that. I've really hemmed and hawed. And so it's all of a sudden, I started to feel this awakening. Really, it wasn't a crisis. It's an awakening of this is what I want. This is who I am. I'm not going to deny those little feelings I felt about certain things over the years that I just stuffed and buried and ignored. No, I'm taking action and I'm going to address these things. So, weird and surprising, but good. I feel like it's really good, but it led me into this whole examination of my life online, and what am I doing online, and what am I creating online, and how does it feel now compared to what it used to feel like, and does it still excite me, and am I still curious about it, and am I doing it out of obligation? And I realized that I kind of was. I feel like it's not that I disliked the things I was creating online, but I kind of got stuck in the persona that I had created for myself when I started the blog back in 2010. Like, I've been doing this a long time, way before homesteading was cool. And I've said that before, way before homesteading was trendy, way before you had all these accounts and all these YouTube channels. Like, I loved it then, and I started it then, and I was passionate about it then, but I have shifted a lot in however many 15 years, right? We all change, we all grow. And I felt like I kind of built this box for myself that I was feeling obligated to stay in the realm of this. Like, I am a homesteader, I am a homestead influencer. The only things I talk about are canning and baking bread. And thank you, 40. I just suddenly was like, I don't really want to do that in that same capacity anymore. I am more than that. I am bigger than that. So it's led me down this whole analyzation of what I want to do online and how I want to show up. So that's why I've been quiet. Again, not bad, just thinking. And I felt like, whereas for so many years I was able to show up in like this mentor and I know things and I will help you role, I don't feel compelled to show up like that right now. I feel like compelled to share thoughts and feelings and realizations, but not in like, I have it figured out sort of way, because I really don't. So yeah, I just didn't have a lot to say, I guess, is the short way to explain the last few minutes of rambling. Yeah, so that's why I've been quiet, but I feel compelled to come back again, not in this mentorship, I'm a homestead expert sort of way. I don't feel excited by that angle anymore. It doesn't feel like it suits me anymore. But I want to come back and connect with you guys because I love this community. I love that so many of you are in the same place as me. And I find that every time I show you a little bit more of who I really am and my true self, I find more and more of you within this community that resonate with that. You are that person. You are those people. You are there already. I just have to let you see that part of me before we can really connect there, if that makes sense. So I'm excited for what the future holds, even though I don't really know what that is yet in terms of what I will create and what I will share and stuff. But I'm here for it, and I hope you are too. So a few thoughts as just to kind of delve in a little bit deeper in some of the things I've been thinking about, especially around homesteading, because this is something that whenever I bring it up online, I feel like there's a lot of things left unsaid that people are scared to say out loud. And I've been scared to say them out loud about homesteading. And I want to say them out loud now because I'm 40 and we say things. That sounds silly, but that is kind of my mantra these days. So here is the things I guess I haven't been saying for a while, and I'm going to say them now. And then we'll continue to say them in the upcoming months as I figure out what the heck I want to keep saying. Anyway, so the first one is, and I mentioned this vaguely in previous episodes this spring and potentially I think on social media, but I am shifting away from quote unquote homesteading, which probably, I hope that doesn't scare you. Don't freak out. Hold on. I will explain. It probably feels bizarre since homesteading kind of is having its heyday right now. And you would think, and heck, I would think that, hey, I've been doing homesteading for 15 years. I've been waiting for this moment for such a time as this. And I actually feel the opposite. When something becomes mainstream, I don't know if any of you can relate to this. Probably you can. There is something wired weirdly in my brain that when something becomes mainstream, I lose interest in it. I think it may be a glitch. I don't know. It's just how I'm wired. And so I love to be on the fringe. I love to be on the outskirts of things. And then when something becomes cliche, when you start to see SNL videos on it, when it starts to be like parody, like that's when I'm like, I'm out, folks, I'm out. So it's not that I'm out of homesteading completely, but I've really lost alignment with the homesteading movement over the past few years. And you guys have probably felt that. You've probably seen that in some of my content. There's a lot of reasons for that. Part of it is the trendiness. I just lose interest when something is mainstream. The other part is I just don't like where some of it's headed. I don't like that it is now a political litmus test. I don't like that it now, just when I say homesteader, everyone automatically lumps that type of person into a certain camp. And I'm like, whoa. We started this not to be a politicized movement. This was started as a way to connect with what makes us human, to get back to the land, to grow our own food. When I first started playing with homesteading 15 years ago, this was bipartisan. Like this was for everybody. And you had people on all sides of the political aisles, and everyone just kind of put that aside and were like, hey, we're making sourdough, we're canning, we're growing. And I loved that vibe. And now it doesn't feel like that. And now I feel like even just saying the word, people automatically like put me into a certain category. And I don't like being put into categories because I don't fit into that category. I really don't. And I'm going to do an episode here in the future, kind of laying more out on this topic. But I don't like the trad wife movement. I'm sorry, I just don't. I don't like what that stands for. It brings up a lot of memories of my past being raised in a fundamentalist cult. And I just cannot. I'm not interested. I just don't identify with that. I don't want to be aligned with that. Do I still love sourdough? Do I still love gardening? Do I still love nature and putting my hands in the soil? Yes. But I need to figure out how to do that in a way that's not in a category or a box, because I came into this world, and I think so many of you did as well, to escape the categories and the boxes. And now we have officially built a homestead category and box, and I don't like it. So maybe this is too negative. Maybe I'm too ranty. I don't know. I don't really care, but that's where I'm at right now. And that's why you're going to see me. I don't say the words homesteading as much on my platform. It's not that I'm not just doing some of the things. They're a part of me. They're a part of my life, but I don't like the labels anymore. So there you have it with that. And I'm just trying to figure out, because I'm still adjacent to that world. I'm not like anti-homesteading, of course. And there's still a lot of value there. I'm just trying to figure out how to navigate that on my own terms. And I think there's a lot of you who are also feeling that way, but it's hard to say that online because then the pitchfork mobs come after you and tell you that you can't say that. But we say things now, so we're saying it. Okay, my second shift that's kind of left me feeling unmoored is all three of my kids are in the charter school this year. So when this is our third year with the charter school. First year, my oldest went, kept the other two at home. Second year, my middle and oldest went, I kept the last one at home. And then this year, all three are going. And it's so many feelings, which I realized this fall, I didn't let myself feel the feelings until like recently. I was just like bulldozing ahead into the next thing. And I wasn't sitting with like, wow, it's a really big transition to not homeschool anymore. And again, I wrote about this in a very short post on Instagram. And I think I want to flesh it out in an essay because I need to just, when I write, it's for me as much as it is for you. It just helps me process my thoughts. But I know, again, a lot of you are in this boat. You are shifting from a homeschool mom into a private school mom or a charter school mom or a public school mom. And it just is a weird transition. Again, that is not talked about as much. I think there's plenty of accounts talking about, I pulled my kids out of public school and now we're Little House on the Prairie homeschoolers. But there's not as much talk about the other way. So maybe I can speak to that more too, as I figure out how to navigate that. Not that I'm an expert. And on one hand, it's been weirdly freeing. I'm going to say it because for the first time since my kids, well, I've had kids, I have 15-year-olds. I've been a mom for 15 years and I started schooling her when she was 5. So for the first time in a decade, I have mornings to myself. They get on the bus and go to school. And I have mornings to myself. The first few weeks were really hard. And now I'm like, holy cow, I am so productive in the mornings, which I hadn't realized for 10 years because I was always doing school in the mornings. No regrets. That was great. But I, wouldn't get to start Jill things, my project, work projects, content, cooking, whatever, until like noon or after lunch. And so now I have these mornings where I'm like, I can do things and I am hyper productive in the mornings, like holy moly. So that's been really fun to realize. I also realized like when I went in to sell all my homeschool curriculum this fall or this late summer, I guess. And that was hard and weird. And I also realized how much I had like downplayed my homeschooling because I've never had a homeschooling community here that I really fit with. And again, I'm just saying this partially to ramble or partially because I think some of you may relate. But growing up, I was homeschooled. We had a really robust homeschool community, and that was an identity we had. With my children, in my experience being a second generation homeschooler, the homeschool communities were in neighboring towns. And my local friends and acquaintances that I really run with are not homeschoolers, nor are they really like homeschool friendly, like tolerant, yes. Like in love with homeschooling, no. And so I often felt like that was a part of my life I didn't hide it, wasn't embarrassed about it, but I just downplayed it because I didn't have anybody to talk to, right? It was like, oh, how are you? Good. How are you? Good. Are you starting school or your homeschool? Yes. And that's like the extent of our conversations about homeschool because nobody else cared. And so I had this like period of weird mourning as I was boxing up the homeschool curriculum and selling it. I'm like, I have downplayed this for 10 years, this part of my life, because I didn't have anyone to talk about it with. And I did a really good job. I had a lot of curriculum. I was really thorough, and I'm really proud of that. So that was also a piece I'm trying to wrestle with and go, what is it like to homeschool without community? Would I have homeschooled longer with a community? I don't know. I'm really thankful for the charter school. The kids are doing great. They love it. The piece I love about it the most is that they're getting a lot of social interaction. And I know, let me say this, as a homeschooler, we laugh when people ask us about socialization, right? It's one of our pet peeves. It would always make my hackles stand up. And I would get so annoyed at that question. How are you socializing your kids? And I'm like, well, Barbara, we do. We socialize our kids plenty. And I know all of the responses to that and all the answers and all the thoughts. But really, when the rubber meets the road as a homeschool mom, that onus is on you. And it's up to you to not only make sure your kids are educated, but also get them all of those socialization opportunities, which for me, that's the piece I always struggled with the most. I had the time to school. We'd school in the mornings. I struggled finding the time to run them to the places they needed to go in order to get them exposure to those social settings. And I know there's schools of thought in the homeschool world that you don't need to take your kids off the farm. You don't need to take your kids out of the house. You don't really need to do all those things. And I disagree. I've seen it play out both ways. And there is a marked deficit. I'm sorry, I'm saying it. There's a marked deficit in the kids who are not allowed out of the house, who are not allowed off the homestead, especially as they get into those older years. They need the peers. They need the adult interactions. They need more than just mom and dad as they start to grow and get ready to launch. And my goal is for my kids to launch. I don't want them to live in my basement till they're 40. I don't. That's not healthy for them or me. And so the thing I love about the charter school is that they are getting those interactions. They're getting opportunities to do FFA, and we are doing sports. I'm going to probably do an episode on that because I'm the world's worst sports parent. But we are doing sports. I'm not forcing them to do sports because I'm not a sports person, but if they find something they're passionate about, right now it's basketball, we're doing it. And I'm seeing really good things happen. And I'm seeing really good things happen with friends and hard friend situations and good friend situations and dealing with being left out and gossip and toxic friend situations and talking about how to navigate that. And I'm already seeing my 15-year-old so far ahead of where I was at her age because she's having more of those interactions and she's able to have them. It's like in a little controlled environment, right? She's able to go out, have those interactions, come home, and we process them, and it's preparing her for college or adulthood or whatever. Whereas I didn't have as much of that. I was way more of a hermit as a high schooler. Not all my parents' fault. That was partially me. But I was behind. It was really hard for me when I went to college to navigate a lot of that. Sometimes it still is. I missed a lot of that as a high schooler. So anyway, I love the charter school for those reasons. I love that it's project-based. But it's been a weird thing to navigate, especially as so much of the homesteading world is tied into being the homeschooler world or homeschooler mom. And I'm like, that's not me anymore on either realm. So what does that look like? So anyway, probably more episodes on that in the future, but just another transition I'm navigating, I guess. That's why I'm sharing it here in a rambly sort of way. I think the other big piece that I've really been talking about, and I wrote about this a week or two ago on the blog, is I've realized that the simple life, which I've championed for so many years, and we're all so obsessed with, especially as the world gets faster and weirder and more artificial, the simple life isn't my finish line. And I had a really hard time figuring out how to say that out loud, but I'm just saying it out loud because why not? Because I feel like there is this expectation in the homestead world or the whatever world, the homestead adjacent world, that should be our highest aim. And for many years, if you would have asked me, I would have told you That was my highest aim. And then, as I'm actually being honest with myself this year, 40 and all those things, I'm like, I don't actually think that's my highest aim. I think I need more. And it's like, I feel like it's slightly forbidden to say out loud that you need more, especially as a woman, especially as a woman. To say that I love making a home, I love cooking, I love gardening, I love being with my kids. But to admit that I love all those things and I also need other challenges, like sometimes it's a no-no. So I've known that in myself for a long time. And I've probably said that in small settings, but it's not something I said online. So I'm saying it online now. And I think that perhaps that's part of my calling, is to not only figure that out for myself, but also to share with you like how you can have both, because there's this exaltation of farm life right now for good reason. I understand why homesteading is hot. Simple living is hot. I heard someone, you can yell at me if I'm being crass, but I'm saying it. I heard someone call it homestead porn the other day, because literally people are sitting in the cities feeling so disenchanted with their current situation, and they scroll the pretty homestead pictures and it makes them feel good. I think that's not a bad thing. I think that's something to listen to, but we also need to act on it, right? Not just go, oh, I'm living in an apartment. I hate my life. I wish I could do this. I wish I could have it differently. We need to actually put action behind those things that we're craving. But here's the other piece is I've had those things. I've had the farm. I've had the kids, trouncing through the pastures, playing games and doing everything Little House on the Prairie children should. And I've had the homegrown food. I still do have it. I've had the beautiful views. I've had the simple life, and I love it. And it is healing and it is fulfilling. But there's also a piece of me, especially now that has become a part of who I am. It's not like it's the new thing. I'm not in the honeymoon period of that anymore. I'm not in the figure it out period. Like, it's running in the background. I kind of have my garden figured out, kind of do the cows the way I want to do them. I kind of do the chickens the way I want to do them. Now I'm like, I need something else to stimulate my brain. I need something else to keep me challenged. And I think humans, we need to have challenges. And for many of us, especially if you're starting out in homesteading, it is going to be your challenge for a while because there's so much to learn. And then once you're in it for a while, potentially, maybe you're like me, you just need something else. And so I've realized I just need to build things beyond chicken pot pies. And I need to create something beyond just clean laundry and wash dishes. And I need camaraderie besides just me alone on the homestead, just, piddling around. There are days I need that and I love that, but I need more in the overarching view of things. I need a little bit more than that. And I love businesses and I love marketing and I love spreadsheets on certain days. Not always, but there are days I love spreadsheets, and I love the fast-paced, world of business where my brain is just humming and I get so excited about creating and building and the possibilities. And I have decided those aren't mutually exclusive. They don't have to be. And I want to speak more to that because I think we need to speak more to it. And I think that especially as more people are coming into homesteading, they need to see that you can have both sides, right? We are multidimensional beings. We all contain multitudes. We don't have to forsake every part of ourselves and just become Little House on the Prairie, Ma Ingalls, right? You can have both sides. And I've always had both sides. I haven't shown you both sides as much because I didn't think it's what the internet's wanted. I didn't think it was appropriate for my brand. And I've since realized that that's silly. And I really don't care about staying on brand anymore. And I'm just going to show you all the pieces, that maybe the mismatched pieces, maybe the pieces that aren't all, simple living all the time. And I think that's what we need to see more of across the whole internet right now. I think we're all getting tired of influencer culture. I think we're tired of brands. I think we're tired of hyper curated everything. I think we're all craving more real and more authentic and more human. And I suspect that all of these weird things that I've been feeling for the last year, you're probably feeling them too. And so that's where I'm headed, I think. Maybe. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure that out. But I guess that's what I've been wrestling with for the last year or so. And I just wanted to share that with you so you know where I've been, but also what you can expect on this podcast and on my blog and on my social media moving forward. There probably will be times I just go quiet. And honestly, there's some times right now where I don't post for 2 months because I just don't have anything to say. And I used to be the most consistent person on the planet about content. I can be consistent, and there's a time and place for that, especially in business. But I've, again, reaching into this human realm, I'm realizing that sometimes forced content is just forced content, and it's not something that connects, and it's not something that's real. So I'm trying to really be honest with myself on that. I'm trying to create content that feels real and compelling and useful to me, in hopes that will also be real and useful to you. So if you don't see me on the internet for, stretches of time, don't worry. I'm probably just ruminating. And I just want to make sure when I bring you something, it's really, really good, and it's really, really true, and it's really, really me. So that's kind of the backstory of the last few months and where I've been. And I don't know if it made sense, but there it is. And a few other bits of news, I suppose, I'll share before we wrap up today. Soda Fountain's still doing good. We're doing our supper nights. I've just really enjoyed being able to be in the community more. And I've needed that, especially as the kids have been in school. I love being home alone, especially in the mornings. I don't think I would do good being home alone 5 days a week. Like, I just need more. I just need human. And for many years of my life, I was like, I'm a hermit. I don't like people. I don't need humans. I realized that wasn't true. I was telling myself that because I didn't have humans available to me very much. And now that I'm in the community more, I need that. I am a people person, actually. Told myself for my whole life I wasn't. I actually do connect with people. I actually do love working with a team when we have synergy. It's my favorite thing. And I haven't had that for so long. The Soda Fountain feels really, really good. So we're still doing our supper nights. We're doing these fancy dinners once or twice a month. We just did a speakeasy night. If you go on the Chugwater Soda Fountain Facebook or Instagram, you'll see a video about that. It was so fun. We're really elevating our food. It's pushing my culinary boundaries like nothing I've ever done before. I've gone from homestead cook to like figuring out how to do very fancy high-end food. It's fun. It's a challenge. It's hard, and I love it. The planner is back. The Old Fashioned on Purpose planner is back for 2026. I partnered with Homestead Living this year. You've probably seen them. They have magazines and they publish some books. I just have had so much issue with printers that Homestead Living swooped in, and they've made it so easy and so wonderful. And the process is so much better. So prairieplanner.com, go check it out. We have limited quantities per usual. We have a similar design to last year. We updated the cover, but it has tabs. The paper is thick. The cover feels so good. It's like really high quality. It's really high quality. You're going to love it. So grab yours while you can. prairieplanner.com. I still use that planner. I've done it for 5 years now. Still use it every day. It's still my standby. What else? I am starting a Substack. I was debating even telling you this, but I'm telling you. I'm going to put a link to it in the show notes. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I've been thinking about this for like a month. I don't know what to do with it because I have a newsletter. Many of you are on my newsletter, and I have the blog, and I usually post things on the blog and then send them out to the newsletter list. So I'm like, do I also want to do that on Substack? But I don't know. I keep being drawn to Substack, and I love that people over there think and they write real words and they say real things, and it feels so much quieter than social media and so much more real. And maybe that's just because it's at the beginning of its arc, and maybe it'll become like every other trashy social media platform in the future. I don't know, but I'm really drawn to it. So I'm going to start it. It's called Prairie Philosophy. I'll put a link to it in the show notes. You could also just search it, however. I don't really know how to use Substack very well, but I'm sure you can search people and things and you can find me over there. But if you read stuff in Substack, add me, because right now if you're on my newsletter list, let's see if I can say this in an even more confusing way than I already am. If you're on my newsletter, I'm sending the post to both places, but there may come a point where I just send it to Substack, and I'll tell you if that happens. But anyway, if you are already on Substack and you consume words over there, find me and add me. And I really just want to explore in my writings across the board and in my podcasts over the next year is what it looks like to stay human in this current world, in this industrial world, in this artificial world. In this world, I think we're all feeling unsettled. Something's off. Everybody knows it. A lot of people don't know how to put it into words. I think homesteading is a piece of it. I think there's more to it. And so I want to just explore, what does it look like to stay human right now? Because I think we're going to see more and more pushes for us to not be human, and for us to let go of those pieces that have made us human since the beginning of time. And we've already lost touch with so much of it in our modern world. I think it's going to just speed up even faster over the next few years with AI and everything that goes with it. So I want to stay grounded, and I want to talk about staying grounded in that and what that looks like in a philosophical, but also very actionable way. So Substack, I'll put the notes, whatever link in the show notes. And then I'm going to do one more podcast episode, I think, before the end of the year. That's my plan. And it's going to talk about how I really use a planner to plan my life, because I feel like we're all in planning mode. Well, I don't know. We're probably all in holiday mode. But I like to get through holiday mode so I can get into shiny new planner mode, because that is my favorite time of year. That week between Christmas and New Year's. I've said this before, my favorite week of the whole year, because everyone is holidayed out and they're quiet and no one bothers me. And I just plan and dream and recenter. But anyway, I'm not anti-holiday. Don't yell at me. Whatever, we're still doing the holidays. But I'm going to have another episode to talk about like really how I am handling my life right now, how I am actually balancing things, which is not really balanced. But I'm going to show you how I don't balance things. I'm going to talk about that in the next episode, and just the really nitty gritty of like, let's be honest, this is what my life looks like right now, balancing the restaurant, the business, the kids, the sports, the homesteading in its own capacity. Like, we're going to get really real and really raw in the next episode. And then I'll probably take a break over the holidays, because who wants to listen to podcasts over Christmas? Not very many people. And then we'll come back around the first of the year, maybe slightly after, with regular episodes. I think I'm going to do a lot of solo episodes. I will still do interviews, but I'm going to be really picky, and I really want depth. Like, I feel like information is so cheap right now. Meaning is not, but information is. And we don't need, here's my controversial thing, we don't need another canning tutorial, y'all. We all know how to can. And if you don't, there are 5,000 books, podcasts, and blog posts teaching you how. Now, if you have a different take on canning, or you have some different thoughts or some different tricks, that's cool. But like, we don't all need to be creating the same content over and over, especially AI is doing it in spades. So I feel like very non-compelled to create commodity content, whether that's in the form of podcast episodes and interviews talking about things you already know, with guests you've already heard, on topics you've already memorized, or blog posts, teaching you the 1, 2, 3s of how to, make a muffin. No one needs that. We don't need any more, unless it's really unique. I really want to get deep. I want to get curious. I want to get real, and I want to get meaningful. So I'm on the hunt for authors and podcast guests who can go there with me. If you feel like you have a topic that is in line with this idea of staying human in an artificial world, or it's a take on homesteading or old-fashioned living that is unique or different, or you figured some things out that you aren't hearing other people talk about, email me, because I'd love to chat. But that's kind of what I see the content for next season being, just deep and different and real. So there you have it. This may be the most rambling episode I've ever created, but I'm not even going to really edit it. We're just going to hit publish on it, because that's how I roll now. So I will be back hopefully within the next week with that last episode before the holidays. And then I will chat with you again after the new year. But go check out prairieplanner.com, grab your copy while you can before they run out. And I will catch up with you on the next episode of the Old Fashioned on Purpose podcast. Thanks for listening, friends.